Hey, how's it going, guys? I asked and you guys answered, so today I'll be checking out the ONN 10 Tablet Pro, available for $129 at Walmart. Pretty much all the specs are located on the back here. Starting with the screen, it's a 10.1-inch LCD touchscreen. This is actually a 1920 by 1200 display, full HD plus, which is really nice to see. Android 10, this has to be the first tablet I've seen at the $100 price point, $100 to $150, that is running Android 10. All the other ones are running Android 9 or below. A 6600 milliamp hour battery. This is slightly higher than some other 10-inch tablets around this price point. Normally they're just 6000 milliamp hours, so 600 more. It's just a slight bump there. But I'd also like to see how well optimized that is with Android 10. 2 GHz Octa-Core processor. Now this sounds really impressive, but it's nothing to really go home excited about. Again, we'll check out performance and everything a little later. It does claim to have a 10-hour battery life. Usually they try to stretch this stuff. I know the ONN 10-inch tablet or the 8-inch tablet didn't really have high end, or it didn't really last that long, so we'll see how this goes. 3 gigs of RAM, that's nice to see. Inside the box, you're introduced with 3 coupons here. One for Walmart's grocery pickup, the other for Voodoo, and then the Walmart eBooks app, you get $10 off. Kind of nice if you're in the Walmart ecosystem. I guess that's what they're trying to create here. Similar to what Amazon is doing with the Fire tablets, I want to say. So here's the tablet. Put that to the side. It feels thin. The user guide, AC adapter, along with the 3.2 foot cable itself. It's a USB Type-C, and there's nothing else below that. Man, this tablet feels pretty nice and thin. It's about 8.2 millimeters thick, and it weighs about less than 1.5 pounds, maybe like 1.2 pounds. I'm gonna take a guess there. It does look nice, but I think it's just plastic all around now, so nothing too crazy, but still nice. The camera is not protruding at all, and it's a 5 megapixel rear camera, and then the front camera is on top here, which is also 5 megapixels, and then the microphone is on top here, along with 2 speaker grills. I wonder if they emit from both sides. I think the ONN 8-inch that I tested did have the speakers emitting from both sides, or there were like 2 kind of speaker systems. We'll check that out in a moment. And on the side is where you have most of your ports and buttons located. Starting off from the right is the volume keys, power button, and then this is another microphone here. Interesting, they've got 2 microphones. Micro SD card slot. You can just open this up. I thought you needed a SIM pin, but it looks like you can just open it up that way. USB Type-C, and then there is a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. I thought there wasn't. On the bottom is a 7-pin magnet for the keyboard if you want to get one separately. Out of the box, there's just about 23 gigs available. Most of the storage is taken up by the system itself, and then there are some other apps, some bloatware that's pre-installed, like YouTube Music, Voodoo app, Walmart, Sam's Club. Besides that, that's pretty much it. It's nothing too bad. As expected, the screen is pretty good, 1920 by 1200. Gets bright, not enough to use outside in sunlight. The brightness is decent overall, I want to say, but I normally need to have this at a higher brightness and lower during the day. So I think this will take up a little more battery life than it should, because I'll have it at a higher brightness.
You and me now, pony it.
And that videos at 1080p 60 FPS are actually tolerable on this compared to other tablets over the course of a few years, and that's really nice to see. But just a slight interaction with the tablet will make the video lag, like just changing the volume, and you'll start to see a bit of like delay here and there. And then the speakers that are on top are tinny, but they get louder than maybe some other tablets that I've seen. I prefer it to be in the front, but at least it's not in the back. But this gets in the way when you're trying to browse the web using it in portrait mode. I noticed that when I'm like just using it, sitting down on a sofa, just taking a look at a few things, I tend to cover the speaker. It feels muffled, or it gets muffled because I'm covering it, or my hand is. So the location is not very convenient in portrait mode, but in landscape mode it's fine. And then again, if you try the other way, it'll cover the other speaker. And they do emit from both sides. This is the left side and this is the right side, so when there's like When it's only supposed to play on one side, it'll play on that side only. I have no problem doing basic things on this tablet, like browsing the web, checking an email or whatever. Everything just seems pretty fluid to me. And on top of that, it seems pretty smooth even when I've got a video playing, you know, multitasking here. Now, the only time I really noticed a lot of slowdown was when something was loading and I had the video set at 1080p and I was watching it, or it was in this like little screen, 1080p. And the video was really slowing down and it was choppy when something was loading here. I think it was like I went into the GPS or the Google Maps and something was loading there. This video is playing at 480p and I don't really notice any problems so far. It seems pretty good overall. Since this is the first tablet I've seen running Android 10 at the $130 price point, I did want to go over some of the new features that are available. For instance, if you go down, you can go into Edit and you now have a dark theme. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if you can let me know in the comments below, if invert colors and nightlight were there before in Android 9, because I certainly didn't see them in the RCA tablet when I checked, because I have the RCA Delta Pro with me at the moment. But the dark theme is definitely what's new here. And basically what the dark theme is you can have this dark mode on your tablet for the nighttime or whatever it is, and then you can take it out too. And then there's also nightlight. So for the nighttime, it's pretty helpful. It makes the screen not as bright. I mean, that's the best way I'll describe it. Those are just some of the new features. And I'm not going to go over all the features here. I mean, I'll have a link down below where you can see the main features and whatnot. Privacy is another big one here, where if you want, you can have something accessing your location or whatever it is while you're in the app, or always or never. And then there's also the gestures. Is similar to what you see in iPhones. So let me go ahead and change this. So you see the navigation here where we have 3 buttons usually for Android. You can change it to the gesture navigation, and if you want to switch to different apps or whatever, you hold it up and then the app tray comes where you can close apps or whatever it is. And then if you want to go straight home, you just quickly swipe up. If you want to get that going again, you can just swipe up again like that. I think it's going to be a bit of a hassle because if you want this to come up, it might get confusing sometimes if you want all the apps to show versus whether if you want the app tray to open to close apps. So I think it's not going to be too beneficial on a tablet, but it's a nice option to have because to each their own. And then there's also from Android Pie the 2-button navigation, where you can swipe around to get to the previous app. And finally, from the home screen, you'll get to your last app if you just go upwards. Then another gesture I see here, jump to camera. If you just press twice, it'll take you to the camera app. Now, I don't know if this was available before, so I don't know if this is a new one. I feel like I've seen it before, but again, I have been using my iPhone for a while, so I might get that mixed up in my memory right now. But since we're on the camera, I do want to share a few pictures I took outside. They're nothing special. Yeah, not that good, I would say, overall. There's also a video I took really quickly. You can see my sound or my voice is kind of muffled. I do have this volume at max. It's because my hand was covering the microphone here, but it seems like it's not that smooth. I wish there was I really wish there was like a train going by to give you kind of a better view of or a better feel of how the camera is. It's not that smooth. It's kind of slow in frame rate, so I wouldn't really recommend it for a video call. Maybe it's tolerable for some people, but again, this is kind of similar to what we've been seeing for a while, so yeah, just keep that in mind. Camera quality is not that good for video calling. In terms of performance on the benchmarks, the Geekbench score got a relatively low score of around 148 for the single core, and the multi-core score was a little higher than usual, but again, this is an Octa-Core, so that's why I'd expect it to have a higher number than like other tablets that I've tested. So nothing great there. And the CPU is a MediaTek or ARM MT8768WA. Never heard of that chip before. And then the GPU is a PowerVR Rogue GE8320. I'm not a fan of PowerVR Rogue, but I don't think I've tested out GE8320. First game I'm checking out here is Sonic Boom 2. It's kind of graphic intensive. So far it seems to be pretty decent in frame rate and everything. Next game here is Roblox. I don't blame this game at all really, so you can kind of tell for yourself if I'm playing the right mode or not that you want to see. So far it seems like it's playable, not that smooth. I mean, I guess it's kind of smooth, but it's not fluid. Like, I do notice some frame rate drops here and there. I don't really expect this to have too many problems here. This is pretty well suited for low-end tablets or like Android phones or devices with low-end specs, so no problems here. Frame rate seems pretty decent overall. Just for the heck of it, I thought it would be worth checking out Injustice 2. And it seems like, surprisingly, it's not too bad. It does lag here and there, so I would say it's not really playable. So I did notice some freezes while I was playing, you know, doing some super moves or whatever it's called. And that's what will trip people up from winning a game or something. So if it affects gameplay performance, I say it's not playable, even though at that point it looked pretty smooth. Overall, I gotta say this tablet is pretty solid for the price. I would say Walmart has raised the standards here. You know, solid tablet to play low-end to mid-tier games, 1920 by 1200 display, Full HD Plus to be able to watch videos in Full HD. Even 60 FPS was tolerable, surprisingly. The cameras are horrible though, just know that, and again, it's relatively thin. Now as for battery life, I can't really say for sure. Maybe I'll have an update video. In a hypothetical sense, it looks like this can last for, or you can have this for pretty much the whole day, I would say, or at least a little more than half the day, with moderate use or with some usage here and there, based on what I see here, because it's lasted for 2 hours and 18 minutes. And you can probably get 6 hours of on-screen time here because there's 73% left, so if you calculate it, it should be about 6 hours, give or take, of on-screen time, which isn't bad. It's not what they claim to have, 10 hours, but again, all these companies try to inflate their numbers to make it seem last longer than what it would. Still not bad. Again, let me know if you guys want to see an update video. Leave a like if you found this video helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more. As always, thanks for watching.